I enjoyed watching Impact this week. First Samoa Joe against Kurt Angle on Monday, and then Kurt Angle against AJ Styles on Tuesday. Now all we need is Sting to be his opponent tomorrow night, and then replace Baron Corbin at WrestleMania with Jeff Jarrett. All of Angle's opponents on his farewell tour have been chosen by Angle himself. So Apollo Crews, Chad Gable, Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, and tomorrow night Rey Mysterio. All handpicked by Kurt. Not bad choices at all. The one man who was not handpicked by Kurt Angle, despite what they'll tell you on TV, is Baron Corbin. All of these great opponents just to build a Baron Corbin at WrestleMania. It's like hitting home runs during the regular season and then going 0 for 5 with a walk during the World Series. Or as I call it, the Alex Rodriguez. Although he did have that one postseason in 2009, I guess, where he kind of redeemed himself. John Cena has no announced match for WrestleMania. No role for WrestleMania. If anything, it'll be a surprise, whatever they have him doing. I don't think he's scheduled to be at TV this week. But we'll see, right? Stranger things have happened. Maybe he'll pop up as a surprise this week and we'll get a better sense. But, you know, him, I'm seeing these rumors of him maybe doing something with Elias. And it's like, you know, him interrupting an Elias concert would be a waste, since they already had an interaction at WrestleMania last year. Better to do something with him and Kurt, even if it's just to come out after Kurt's match is over, for some kind of a speech in the ring or a little send-off or something. Some kind of interaction between the two of them, I think, is warranted. I mean, look, I really wish they would have come to their senses and just changed the match. There's a reason that John Cena was chosen to be the person to induct Kurt Angle into the Hall of Fame. This should have been an easy slam dunk call. Now, even if Cena does come out for another match, you look at this year's WrestleMania card and you think to yourself, you know what's missing? You know what's really missing with this WrestleMania card this year could really use? I know. Another match. Because we don't have enough of those. So it's almost like at this point, do we even want Kurt Angle to challenge John Cena, or John Cena to come out and have another match if the Corbin match is happening no matter what? Do we really need a second match? That would make what, 17? 18 if they add those 2 tag team title matches? I mean, come on. But, you know, you watch Kurt Angle in the ring on this farewell tour, especially in there with Joe on Monday. And look, it was cool to see the two of them in the ring one last time together like that, but yeah, they even had a callback at the beginning of the match to their very first face-to-face in TNA when Kurt gave him that headbutt that busted him open. Here, Joe gave Kurt a headbutt, kind of in the shoulder, but still, he gave him a headbutt to start the match. Later on, he had Kurt in the Coquina Clutch. Kurt cradled him for the win. So Kurt Angle pins the United States champion here, Samoa Joe. But you watch this, and the other matches as well, and it is painfully obvious this retirement is a good 2 years too late. Probably more than that. Kurt posted this on his Facebook page. WrestleMania is around the corner. My very last match. I know it's not the old Kurt Angle that everybody has wanted, but I'm proud knowing it's the new Kurt Angle that has been clean for almost 6 years. Thank you to all of you who have been supporting me through the good and the bad. I love you all. And that really is the most important thing to remember in all of this. This is a man who 13 years ago, when he left WWE, Vince McMahon let him out of his contract. Think of how fucked up Angle had to have been at that time that Vince McMahon would just let one of his top stars, an Olympic gold medalist, out of his contract, no strings attached. I don't think there was a non-compete for like 90 days or anything like that. Just a full release from an existing live, active contract. Free to sign with any company he wanted to, which is exactly what he did. He went right to TNA within a month. He signed with TNA. And what does that say about TNA? That they were so quick to sign him. They had to have known he was going through some pretty serious issues. But, look, Kurt Angle becomes free. I guess it's hard to turn that down. So he found a home in TNA. I remember Vince McMahon at the time when he let him go saying he did a whole interview with WWE.com, and he said that Kurt needed time away from the ring to take care of his demons. He knew how close to death Kurt Angle was. Then a few weeks later, he signs with TNA. And Kurt starts talking about how, that WWE schedule, that almost killed me. It wasn't all the stuff he was doing that almost killed him. It was the schedule. We'll just blame it all on the schedule. But then there were the years of DUI arrests. Vince wouldn't even entertain the idea of bringing Kurt back. You know, when Kurt would make overtures about coming back, or people internally would float the idea about Kurt Angle coming in, it's like Macho Man. You know, the story about how over the years, whenever somebody, Michael Hayes might have done this once in a meeting where they floated the idea of doing something with Randy Savage, or bringing back the Macho Man, or bringing him in for the Hall of Fame. And the famous story about Vince McMahon looking off into the distance, or looking off out the window and just saying something to the effect of, "Don't ever mention that name ever again in front of me." It's like, holy shit. But Kurt was basically persona non grata for so long in that company. Why do you think that is? He wouldn't even entertain the idea for years of bringing this guy back. Kurt Angle. He didn't want Kurt Angle back because he didn't want an Olympic gold medalist to die while he was working for his company. Now, Kurt got his life cleaned up. Ever since he's come back, he's been a model citizen. But clean and sober for 6 years is a much bigger deal than any wrestling match this guy could have. Because there were a lot of people, I would argue, that had this guy in their death pool many years ago, the way things were going for him. Probably the same thing for Matt Hardy, when Matt was getting all those DUI arrests and going through all the stuff that he was going through. It wasn't looking good. And actually now both of them are doing great. Matt's got, his kids and his wife, and he just lost, I think, 15 or 20 pounds. Physically, he's looking in great shape. Kurt, not so much. I mean, look, for a guy his age, he's still in good shape, but, it's painful to watch Kurt move around. He moves around so stiff. He looks stiff as a board. But if that's the product of not being hooked up on pain pills, you know what? So be it. So be it. The guy has a wife. He's got 5 kids, or maybe more than that. I don't know, but I'd like to see Kurt Angle be one of these guys who defies the odds of what people thought was going to happen 10 years ago and still be around when he's 60 and 70 years old. He may be completely crippled up by then, I don't know, but that really, to me, in reading that blog post on his Facebook page, that really drove it home that that's the real story here. That Kurt was even able to make a comeback, that he's even able to step in the ring and do what he's doing. And now, I don't know how the match is going to be. It's not the ideal opponent, but he's going to get a big send-off at WrestleMania in front of 80,000 people. I don't know if he'll get pyro and all that, but this is the way that Kurt Angle should be able to go out. I only wish the circumstances and the opponent were better, but I guess you can't always get what you want. So that is the real story here, I think. And look, you look at what Kurt's done since he's come back. They welcomed him back into the company. He got that Hall of Fame induction. He got to work with Ronda Rousey in what was the best match on the WrestleMania card last year. He was the Raw general manager for about a year and a half. But he got that Hall of Fame induction, and a lot of inductees, they don't live long enough to enjoy their Hall of Fame induction. So he's got one more match before WrestleMania. They said his match with AJ on Tuesday was the final SmackDown match of his career. So that leaves the match with Rey Mysterio tomorrow night. Another SmackDown star being loaned over to Raw. It's a risk, I think, when you put him in there for as many matches as they've been. I mean, the match with AJ on Tuesday was like 90 seconds, but it's a risk. Putting Kurt Angle at this stage in the ring with his past injury issues, I think Rey Mysterio is about as safe an opponent as you could think of, but that doesn't mean one wrong step and, the guy could get hurt. It's like he's made of glass. So I think it is a risk. He and Rey had a fun little feud in 2002. The little boys promo on SmackDown was hilarious. You're telling Rey Mysterio, remember one thing, Rey, you're a boy in a man's world, and I'm a man that loves to play with boys. Comedy Kurt is still my favorite version of Kurt Angle. Their match at SummerSlam that year was a lot of fun, and so I think Rey is a fitting choice as one of his last opponents.